Hey guys, and welcome to my first OBS tutorial on OBS Studio. Hopefully if you guys like any more tutorials on anything OBS related or Twitch related, I can help you out. But yeah, as you can see, this is going to be for a single PC setup. Later on I'll be doing a dual PC setup, but most people will be running on a single PC setup. So let's get into it. So as you first get OBS, you'll be greeted with this screen. So these are the settings I usually run and recommend to people with a single PC setup. So we'll go through the settings tab. This is always straightforward and everything. Language, wherever you're from. Then we've got the theme, usually dark theme. I kind of just stick with as the default. We've got this mode as well, which changes it to like a pink and a blue, which I don't particularly like. You've got system, so wherever your PC system I guess is, so it'll just be white, which I don't really like because it blinds on the eyes and you can't really tell on here at the moment. So down here is usually the audio mixer, so you can't really tell the white on the yellow, but yeah, I usually just stick on the default. So more on the stream tab. So we'll go through the tabs one by one. So we've got the stream tab, which is your services. So do you stream on Twitch? Do you stream on YouTube? Facebook Live? Restream is like streaming to the same different platforms, but it's all done through OBS, so you're streaming on Twitch as well as YouTube, but as well as Facebook as well. You've got Twitter and Periscope, which I don't particularly use. I don't have any kind of knowledge on that. And then you've got show all, so you've got like different ones as well. You've got like Cam Soda. I don't know any of these. I really don't. So yeah, usually I just stick with Twitch, and then you can connect your account, so you just log in to your account as usual. If you create this screen, you just log into your account as usual. Your stream key, you just enter your get stream key. So you do stream key by doing that, and just copy it and then paste it into here. And then you choose your server. So it's be the server, so it would be like Europe or US or Asia or Mexico, for example, but we'll be sticking with London. Usually I like London 4. I've had the most success with that, so just stick with London 4. Now here comes the output tab. So in the output tab, I normally recommend everyone to stick to advanced. So with advanced you have more options. It might be overwhelming at first, but we'll go through it one by one. So encoder, for example, is NVENC encoder, which uses your GPU. I recommend, if you're on a single PC setup, to stick with NVENC if you have an RTX card. So you have the, I think it's a 1660 or above. So I've got a 2070, so I can stick with the NVENC encoder. If you have to use your CPU, or you have a CPU that's really powerful, like a 3900X, which I have, then I can run on medium preset. We'll go to the preset once we've gone through everything else. But yeah, what I recommend for a single PC setup is NVENC encoder. It takes a load off the CPU if your game is CPU intensive, but usually I found that the NVENC encoder is really good, especially because it's got a dedicated chip in the GPU. And then we'll stick with CBR. So CBR is constant bit rate. A constant bitrate rate, I think it is, something like that. I think I pronounced that wrong. But yeah, we want to stick with this because it's a constant bitrate that you'll be producing. Now here comes the tricky part. With bitrate, you want to do half of your upload speed. So I will show you an example. So you can go to speedtest.net, which will be on your website, on your browser that you're using, or you can use the app downloaded in the Windows store, Microsoft Store. You just type in speed test, if I can actually type it in. Yeah, speed test, and then you just find the app on here. Simple as that. Simple as that. But yeah, we'll start the test. So my upload speed is around about 15 to like 17. So I've got plenty of headroom. The max bitrate that Twitch allow is 6K. So the higher the bitrate, the better quality your streams will be. So yeah, my upload speed is around about 15, which is a good point to start at. So I can do the full 6,000. But if your upload speed is lower than that, so I'd say 10 is like a good max to have. So then you can do half of that, which is 5,000. The lowest you can kind of go is 2,500. But we get on to if you have that low of a bit rate, for example. But just do the max you can, so it'd be 6,000. Keyframe interval, Twitch recommends 2. Preset. This is where it comes a bit tricky with preset. So if you can do max quality, that's absolutely fine. You'll get the best quality you can out of your GPU, which is what you want. You want the best quality that you can get without maxing your GPU. Percentages that I recommend not to go above is about 90%. So on the task manager, we'll bring us over here. So if your GPU is around about 90%, then you kind of want to do some little bit tweaking in game to your in-game settings just to bring down the percentage. If you're still having trouble, then I'll stick with quality. Usually I recommend sticking with quality just as a default for everyone. Profile, stick to high. Haven't really noticed any difference between main and high. Main is usually for like old sort of phones or tablets or anything, but usually nowadays I just stick to high profile. So what I'd recommend is preset or max quality if you can. Like I said, going back to if your GPU is on 90%, now stick with quality. Leave these as default. GPU is default. Max B-frame interval is default. Usually I just stick it to how it is now. So literally I'll leave this on screen for a couple of seconds and then we'll move on. So once you've done that, always click apply. So see your changes. Audio. So desktop audio, leave it as default. I have a mixer, so I have to go XLR. So you would always stick to like system. If you have a mixer, that is usually default's fine. Mic, just pick the mic that you're going to be using. I have a mixer, like I said, so I'll be using chat mic. But any mic you have, like a Snowball or a USB mic, just pick one of those. You'll be absolutely fine for that. Leave everything else as it is. Video. This is what I always recommend. Never do 1080p on Twitch. The bitrate that Twitch allow for 1080p is just not good enough. If Twitch recommended 8K for 1080p, it's still not enough in my opinion. So what we'll do, base canvas is the canvas of your monitor. So 1080p is the kind of standard unless you're doing 1440p, but yeah, just pick whatever the highest is on the list here. And then rescale output is the scaled output that is going to be produced onto Twitch. So that's what the final product is that everybody's going to see. So I normally recommend 720p just for everyone. Bicubic downscale filter, you can lose downscale. I haven't really noticed much difference, but I'll be linking a video of why I use bicubic. There's a guy called Equals Vox and he says that landscape filter is more of an upscale filter. So if you're scaled output is higher than your base canvas, then I would use Landscapes. But yeah, I'll link his video down below. That's what I've gone with by Cubic. I haven't really noticed any difference between that. Common FPS value, I usually recommend 60 nowadays. It's 2021, so I would recommend using 60 FPS. People want to see the best kind of frames and everything. Everybody's about frames and quality. But if you're having trouble with your PC or you're getting encoding overload, which will be at the bottom left here, you'll see like a encoding overload, then just stick it down to 30. If you're having any other problems, you can always change the resolution and decrease it a bit, which will produce a better quality, but obviously the resolution will be a lot lower. But yeah, usually I just stick with this, so 1080p canvas. Scaled output is 720, downscale filtered by Cubic, common FPS value 60. This is where I would probably leave some things at default, but what we'll do here is if your process priority for your CPU is a low percentage and you can prioritize OBS, then I would stick on high. Above normal is absolutely fine. Normal is fine as well. I would not pick any of these two either. Going on to the video in the advanced settings, direct 3D11 is the standard. MV12 absolutely fine. Color space 709 is what I would always recommend, and color range partial. You don't want to stick a color range on full because you have mismatches between say console, for example, and PC. So usually I just stick color range on partial. I'll be linking another video down. Most of my sources are from Apos Fox. He's an awesome guy. But yeah, usually I'll just stick 709 and partial. Leave everything else as it is. I don't want to touch any of that. But yeah, we'll move on to what else there is. So for example, I don't have a capture device at the moment, but we'll pretend we do. Pretend we have an Elgato or any sort of video device. This counts for webcams as well. So custom 1080p, the highest FPS we can. Video format, this is where I would always recommend, if you have any other settings for video format other than MV12, then YUY2 is the best option. It's low bandwidth but high quality. This is what I've always gone with, is YUY2 is what I'd recommend for everyone. Color space 709, which we've seen on the advanced setting, and then color range on partial. Buffering I leave disabled. I haven't really noticed anything between buffering or not, and then we just leave that as it is. And then same with webcam as well. This counts for any video capture device, so e.g. webcam or video capture, meaning Elgato or any other sort of game capture device for your console or PC, for example. But this is what I recommend as your settings. I don't know if I'm missing anything else on here, but if you guys do need any other sort of information of how to set up OBS, this is more of like a settings for OBS, just to get you guys started. If you guys want more information on OBS, I'll bring out another video of how to set up scenes, how to set up sources. But usually this is what I kind of recommend for everyone, especially with capture devices and setting up the right color space and everything. You don't want to mix match, you don't want punchy, contrasty colors, or you don't want washed out colors. But this is what I recommend for everyone. And another thing as well, if you're setting up your audio and you don't want certain things in sources. So for example, we'll make a scene here. For example, right, if you didn't want your mic to show up, you'll disable it. And desktop audio, for example, we'll get rid of that. So I've disabled both of those. You can simply just add a audio input as you will, and your mic, and that's as easy as it is. And then what you do, you can just remove it. So if you say, for example, you have a starting student screen, I can't really show you on here. It's on my streaming PC. I have a 2 PC setup, so most of my stuff is on my other PC. But I don't know. Say for example, we'll pick an image. Why not? Let's have a look. Let's just choose Chris. This is another tip as well. If you want something to just sit straight in the middle of OBS, so this is kind of like your box. These lines means the picture is out of frame, so you just press Control F on the keyboard and it literally just sits right in the middle. So for example, this is your science student screen. So say for example you're setting up your stream and you want your mic muted, or you just don't want your mic on at all because maybe you don't want to talk during the silent stream screen because you're setting up and you're not really paying attention to who comes in the chat, which is fair enough because you're just setting up stream. So you can just not have any mic or any desktop audio. I would recommend having desktop audio so you can play some music while people come into the chat. So you can just, for example, do this. Video output capture is, and then go onto system, and then there's your music playing right now. No mic whatsoever. That's all you have to do. Just audio output capture, which is your desktop audio. And let's say for example you do want your mic, you add in audio input capture, and then you choose your mic. And that is easy as you do it. And you can rename these. So for example, you can just rename it to mic, for example, and then this one here, you can just rename to desktop. Oh, if I can spell it right. There we go. Desktop. Easy as that. Easy as that. The thing with OBS is you want to keep it as simple as possible, and I think what I've explained is very, very simple. But if you guys have a 2 PC setup and you're more advanced, I will go through this right now with you. So same again, settings, stream service, Twitch or YouTube or whatever you want to do. So this is where it changes if you have a 2 PC setup. If you have I'm guessing most people have a really, really powerful CPU for their stream PC. So I would choose X264 encoder, leave rescale output alone, CBR, bitrate, like I said, 50% of your upload, or use the max it allows. And then keyframe interval 2 is what this recommends. So for example, I have a 3900X, so I'd do medium. I haven't really noticed any difference between medium or slow. Twitch doesn't recommend slow, so I stick on medium. Usually if you can do fast or medium on a dual PC, then I would just stick with fast or medium. Any higher, which usually less CPU, I would just stick with NVENC, even on a dual PC setup, because you're not going to get that much quality out of very fast to fast. There's not really much difference. Once you go like fast to medium to slow, is usually when you have the image compression. So the CPU preset basically the slower it is, the longest time it takes to render the image out, which makes it better. The higher it is, the less CPU, so it will just scan the basically the game you're playing quicker, so it will look worse quality. Sorry. Profile as high, and then tune I leave it none. And I usually use a coding option for X264. This is the option I choose. I'll run through it for you on a dual PC setup because it's worked really well for me. So threads is the thread count for your CPU. So for example, we go to the task manager, we go to performance, and then we look at the logical processors, which is your threads, which is 24. So I can go 24 on my gaming PC, but my streaming PC is 16 threads. So I choose 16 threads, but just have a look at what your threads are on your CPU and just change this number to whatever it is. So for example, if you have 8 threads or 6 or 4 threads, I think you can still get 4 threads. But yeah, I just stick with 16. Honestly, look ahead is basically the FPS that you're having your video output on. So mine will be 60, so it will constantly keep getting that 60 FPS. Trellis is 1. Not quite sure if there's any other numbers, but that's what someone recommended to me would be Trellis. Direct pred spatial, I think it is, or I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry, but this is what someone else recommended as well. Literally all the videos I'm going to be linking are Epo's Vox videos. He's a really good guy for OBS stuff. Audio, if you have a mixer, for example, then you can choose any of these. But yeah, usually you can leave it as default. And then, for example, in here as well is just pick your mic. Let's go back to output, because there's one thing I really forgot to do. This is for single PC setups as well. The max that Twitch allow for audio bitrate is now 320, which is the highest bitrate that YouTube allow as well for their videos, MP4 quality. Before, the max was, I think it was 160 or 128. But audio bitrate and video bitrate go hand in hand. So whatever your bitrate is, your video bitrate, take away whatever number is in here. So if it's 320, max video bitrate is 6K, then 6K minus 320 will give you 507 something like that. But usually I just leave my video bitrate as 6K and then leave the video audio bitrate as 320. That counts for both single and stream PC and dual PC setups. Advanced, for a dual PC setup I would use high. 709 color space and partial color range. But yeah, that leads us to the end of the video. If you guys need any more help or any more questions, leave it down in the comment section down below and I will be glad to help you out. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.